Otherwise, I'll be here talking till like midnight. Hello, good evening. Look, I messed up. I didn't realize that you couldn't hear us. And now I'm really annoyed because I said a lot of things. You know, I said a lot of really interesting things. Mm-hmm. And now I'm really annoyed. Can you hear us? Please, is this blinking? Yes, okay. When it's blinking and I haven't put this on mute, then people can hear us. I didn't realize, don't do that. I didn't realize that half of the live we did earlier on today, and late this afternoon when we were planting and decided to do a live, was on mute because I had to cough and I was thirsty. I had to take great big gulps of my tea, my ginger tea. Loud and clear, thank you. Thank you very much, Mrs. Lomani. Thank you very much. Yes, so I'm very disappointed because I was talking about a very special young woman by the name of Sera Volavola. And it was all very uncanny and well-timed because I had a conversation with Sera, and then we had already decided to do planting, and just to unwind and reconnect. And if you had the first 40 minutes has got volume, so you can hear what we're saying or what I'm saying. And but uncannily, then I started talking with Sera, and then Dwayne said, and look, we're planting. And why he said that is because Sera Volavola is Miss Earth Fiji 2023, which, you know, that's fantastic, even for someone who is known for my, if not anti, then I'm not exactly a fan of pageants and pageantry, because all pageants are based on beauty. And I hope that that was said. We didn't sit here and listen to the whole thing, so I don't know if that part of the conversation, I had said a lot about that. But why with Sera Volavola, I've had to take a step off my own ego and my own viewpoint and perspectives and look at it from somebody else's point of view, especially a young woman who is exemplary in so many ways. Sera Volavola. She is, you know, she is intelligent, she's independent, and like fiercely intelligent. She's a science, you know, she studied science, and that's, and now she's won Miss Earth Fiji. And, but they've sort of left her in the lurch a little, these organizers, and she doesn't really know what's happening. And I'm looking for people to now, well, can we get together and actually send someone who is exemplary, and let's send this person out in the world to represent Fiji. Because, okay, I have to, so sorry, why I'm saying all of this again is because the previous live, I left it on mute because I had to cough and I forgot to turn it back on, and all of these things I was saying about Sera and about pageants, etc., why I was and still am not quite for pageants, except for when it comes to young women in the Pacific, because the pageants in the Pacific, when they're put on, and the women who enter these pageants do so hoping these pageants give them a platform from which they can then launch themselves from.
Sure.
Because success depends on your privilege. Success depends on opportunities. Opportunities depends on privilege. Opportunities depend on privilege. Mm-hmm. You can't get to these opportunities without some form of privilege. And for most young women, looks is a privilege that they utilize. However, I'm going to say this, Sera Volavola is not one of them. Sera is already a top model of Fiji who is already globally ready. And I don't know how far and how much I said, but I will dedicate this one to just talking about Sera. And darling, if you could find for me on Stylander, the editorials, I photographed Sera last year. And let me talk, so we'll dedicate this one to Sera, talking this, because I don't want to lose it while it's still fresh in my mind, how uncanny it was that Sera and I were talking about this, and then we were planting, and it all had to do with being grounded and down to earth. And we've had some intense nights and weeks and actually months, haven't we all? So so this is why we needed to ground ourselves. Well, I did certainly, and as you may have noticed if you've watched the previous video, the way I ground myself was sit there and watch my husband do all the work of repotting and replanting while I'm like la 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 la. But see, the plants are used to it because I talk with them every day, so the plants are used to it. So let's show Sera. Look at Sera. Sera is just. I hope this shows properly. Sera is divine. I love her. She is one of my favorite models, and not just Fijian, but favorite international models. I had such a wonderful time photographing this beautiful young woman. She looks like a baby Naomi Campbell, as I said, back when Naomi Campbell looked like Naomi Campbell. Naomi Campbell looks like plastic now. Sorry, I can say that. It's the same age, and I chose not to have plastic surgery and all that crap done, or whatever. But look at this divine young woman. She is absolutely stunning. She's wearing NV, which is a label from Fiji by two young Indo-Fijian women. Unfortunately, the label no longer exists because the designer side of it, Vedika, she's now studying in Australia. But look at this. Look at her. Global. She is, yes. Mrs. Lamani says, young Naomi. I absolutely agree. But she's already got her own flavor, and Sera is very much an international level model. I styled this shoot, and my way of styling, as I said in the previous episode that may not have been heard, is from Fiji of the 90s. We were really classic and ahead of the times. Fiji was very avant-garde in the design, fashion, and modeling world back then. So I styled her that way. These clothes were not meant to be styled like this, but they weren't interesting the way everybody else was styling them. And so I styled them. And so Sera was able to carry this. She wore this. Look at this. Look at this young woman. Look at her. So look at her. Wow. First time photographed by me. Absolutely, already considered an upcoming model. No ego, absolutely humble. This divine young woman. She took directions so well and learned from me because she understood, and she did this shoot with me. You know, she's just like absolutely stunning. She should be modeling internationally. So this is what I need to talk about Sera for, and just to go off tangent, anchor me, darling, because I'm talking about Sera. When I say anchor me, I mean that I tend to digress a lot, etc. So this month on the Stylander, if you don't know what the Stylander is, it is the publication Dwayne and I have created. It is a news, views, reviews, and arts magazine, and it's dedicated to the people of the world. And it is hot. You go and have a look at it, thestylander.com. We also have supplements, and one is called The Wanderer. Now, without really saying it, we are dedicating it to the people of the Pacific that get negated. And for us, that is firstly the people of Papua New Guinea, and then Fiji, the reality of Fiji. Fiji, the way it gets depicted, is all about hospitality, coconuts, and coups. And I come from a very different Fiji, where people like me were, celebrated and embraced. And this is why, when we have talked about before, that when you say to me, well, I grew up in a different time of Fiji, I'm like, a different elite society. I'm like, no. It may have been all societies are elite, but within all societies are incredibly progressive, sophisticated people. And Suva was a very, very much a city, a tropopolitan, as I have called it. And back then, I mean, as I said, I don't know if this was heard in my last one, and I will talk about it in depth. Dwayne and I are, when I focus completely on those times. So back then, the Fiji I was a young woman in, and that embraced, and that we were all just sparked in. We were all like so innovative, creative, and we didn't have internet. Again, I hope you do manage to watch the previous show a little, because it was about Dwayne's question had been, what if we had internet but no social media? So we'll talk about that in tomorrow's Daily Egg, which is our breakfast show. So back in the 90s that I am used to, and I was talking about this because I styled Sera this way. Back in the 90s, I was used to, and this is what I think got lost because I muted it, and because I have made it a point not to look at who has joined or look at comments. I'm really sorry, because I don't want to miss out on incredible comments, but if I look, I'll be like this. And when we do the lives afterwards, all it looks like is I'm just doing this and talking randomly because none of the comments stay. But I will read some questions, some comments out. My apologies for this. So yes, Mrs. Lamani saying she's also very kind, disciplined, and has a vision to use her experience for empowering younger girls. I absolutely agree. We'll talk about Sera. I'm just very briefly going to talk about 90s Suva, the Suva I was a part of. That I hope I'm not overstating when I say I very much contributed to, and I'm very much a part of modern Fiji's history. But that Suva was a Suva of, jazz and blues and avant-garde. And when I say that, I don't just use that in that term where everybody likes to throw in haute couture without really understanding what that term means. And because it's a Eurostream construct, very few people get to use it, really. You're not haute couture until the syndicat or whatever in France declares you are, but blah, blah, blah. We hold too much stock by what the Eurostream says we should and shouldn't do. So, okay, excuse my language, but if you want to go call yourself couture, go right ahead. But just understand and respect what the whole essence of that is. Oh, I have digressed. I was saying avant-garde because the designers, what that means is before time of sorts, like ahead of your time. Well, the designers in Fiji back then because we were people from all over the world. And so regardless of the privilege, as I said earlier, it is privilege that gets you the opportunities, that gets you the chance to be a success at what you do. It's only the privileged. And so this is why young women do use their physicality. And the more privileged you are, and if you are actually someone of physical, privilege, I think that you have to use physical privilege less. The more privilege you have, and if you are considered a good-looking person, I think you have to use your looks less. Because if you've been given everything else, especially a mind, you should not be depending on this. But by saying that, looks is a form of intelligence. I certainly utilize my physicality in ways that I feel were more artistic. But we're not talking about that. But I am talking about that because I'm talking about Suva in the 90s, which was avant-garde and post-coup, which I think really kickstarted something which was already brewing in the 80s in the world. 90s Suva, my gosh, we were sophisticated as hell. We were all hot too, Everybody, brilliant, brainy people on radio with saying important things, playing music from all around the world. You'd walk into traps and you'd be hearing blues from Mali, stuff like that. Well, our musicians in Fiji, woof. Anyway, yeah. But I'm digressing because I want to talk about Sera Volavola, but I'm just explaining why I use the term avant-garde, because Fiji was that. It was ahead of its times. And of course, literally being on an international dateline, you're the first to, view things. So some of us decided, yep, we'll lead the way. Why not? So when I get asked about, yes, I have lived a very global life, but a lot of what I am is a product of my environment, and that was in Fiji, where we were allowed to. I was allowed to be ahead of my time. Fiji was not conservative. And whilst being problematic, do not think I'm looking at this through rose-colored glasses. I'm saying in spite of the coconuts and coups, and, the way we get viewed, the way people, their perspective of us, and the way we get sold by the people who sell us, well, I'm no longer, sadly, a Fiji citizen because back in those days we weren't allowed to have dual citizenship. And I had to leave Fiji in 1999 for various personal reasons, but also because I could no longer be a big fish in a small pond. It starts to drown you after a while when you can't grow. Anyway, Sera Volavola is who I'm talking about. But I had, as you had seen earlier, I had styled in a very avant-garde way. And you've got to have essence and presence as a model. It's not simple. It's not as simple as just being pretty and attractive. Yes, you've got to be photogenic, but that's not necessarily, that doesn't equate with beautiful. Beautiful people in real life aren't necessarily photogenic, and people who you think are not as beautiful, all of a sudden a camera captures something of theirs. So modeling is an art and an essence of itself, and there's a difference between models and Instagram models who are just, as I said, pretty young things. Oh, gorgeous, good for you. Do your thing if that's what you want to do. But I'm so tired of ass. I'm so sick and tired of ass. I don't care what size it is. Can you just, stop it? I don't know. I never led with ass. I've never done that. Even when I was just wearing a G-string on a runway, you know? It was done because we all knew what we were doing and because nobody was conservative. And that's what I said, why my rebuttal to you about you saying, well, did I just live an extremely privileged life when I say Fiji was progressive in the 90s? The people who were coming to watch us weren't the privileged. Our events were exclusive, but not elite. We weren't shutting out people who would come in from Nausori or, Namboa or wherever. People would come to, exclusive events like the Eskimoto's Boat and Car Show, which had the exclusive, swimwear show of the year, which was 2 days of seeing, Fiji's top models and the top swimwear designers of the day. And nobody was like, oh my, scandalized or anything. It was people would come from everywhere, and just to see the top models that they'd seen in the papers, and they would Kayla and enjoy us and celebrate us, and they made me famous because they'd see me on the news and they'd come and have a chance to see me sing at Sugar Festival, Hibiscus Festival, whatever festival we were at, and then see me on a runway and go to places like the then Tradewinds, which was the place to go to socially midweek, and all you had to do was just be well dressed and behave. And usually it was the higher ups in society who were the worst behaved, really. But everyone could come in and just enjoy a nice night out and see all the top models. And nothing was elitist. Nothing was expensive. A lot of things were free because people would be spending at the bar or whatever or benefit in other ways. Eskimotos knew all run by Kaiviti or people, not necessarily expats back then. It was all people from Fiji running their own things. And, really understood the power of association and branding. No, I can't say that it was just an elite part of society because people listened to me on radio. Yeah. It wasn't the elite society who made me famous as a sari-clad newsreader sitting in front of a Marcy backdrop reading the news, memorizing it because we didn't have an auto cue, all right? I have some great stories. I'm trying to just paint a picture for you of the Fiji I became the foundation of who I am now, kind of thing. So it's from that time. And I really, so that's what I'm saying, is that it wasn't elitist, it wasn't expensive. People understood branding, so Eskimotos knew how they would benefit in other ways to bring people through. So maybe the people in the crowd can't afford a car right now, but they may one day. There was hope. They still, despite 2 coups, there was hope. Despite human rights violations, terrible, terrible trauma done to all the human beings, despite the terrible traumas that everybody has had to live with, Fiji has been stressed since the moment Americans landed on the shores to discover what had happened, what was this beautiful, luscious island. That was in early 1800s, before the British arrived. But the British were brought in to save Fiji. Anyway, that's a different story. I'm now going to bring it back to the 90s, not those 1890s or whatever, 1800s. The 90s, but the hope was still alive in the 90s, okay? Because people are allowed to be a bit brave and fearless. Hello, I have been topless on Fiji runways amongst the elite in 1989 at the Isale Hotel was a very, very exclusive fashion parade, which was the finale of a Pacific Islands Trade Leaders Forum run by one of the then elite hierarchy of the fashion industry, Bernadette Rounds. And I was asked to be the finale walk of this, and I came out topless to represent modern Fiji because the person who walked out first, hey, I have such good stories, man. The young woman who walked out first was sent out with her, hair, the buninga. I hate saying it just in case I've been out of Fiji for a long time, so forgive my pronunciation of words now.
Yeah, me too. I may say it wrong sometimes.
Yes, and you are Kota Kaiviti. I am ashamed of you. And with the plait to denote she was a virgin and dressed in the old way, because please understand, Sulu and Chamba, they're not traditional, they are colonial. A very venerated, respected man introduced it, and it was based on the kilt, and that was to show the Kaiviti's conversion to Christianity. But prior to that, the clothing was very different. A beautiful, beautiful history. You should go. If you're in Suva, that museum is not keeping the history too well, I'm sorry to say. It's getting lost. A lot of things, particularly Indo-Fijian history's gone. Anyway, but the skirt. So she came out in the liku. Oh, please forgive me. I do know the history, but I have far too much information in my head at times. And just a stunning, statuesque, beautifully melanated young woman to represent Fiji. That Fiji that Dwayne and I, before we started talking live, we were describing something about how we feel about the people of Fiji.
Oh, yeah.
And how we feel about their connection to the land. And how the First Nations people of this land we call Australia, modern Australia is. And they are part of the land in a different way. I feel like the First Nations people of this land called Australia, they're part of the ether, they dissolve back into it. When they no longer occupy the vessel that is on this planet, they sort of dissolve and dissipate, which is very poetic, I know, but I also feel that is, the whole ashes to ashes, dust to dust thing, right? It is absolutely, we come from this earth. But we describe the Fijians, and I know a lot of people understand this, like even Fiji's first published graphic novelist, Clarence Das, would agree, because he draws his characters as of returning to the earth, etc. So both of us at separate times, and we've talked about this together, that's how we know, we're like, wow, we both feel this. That people, Kaiviti, indigenous, come from out of the land?
Yes.
Sounds romantic. And I don't mean to romanticize it, because I'm not doing that, but there's some wonderful things that we've been told, that we hear from, I've been told by the elders, etc. There's wonder, and you too have been told by people who are connected to elders and stuff.
Yeah.
And your father, who is half indigenous, was also very.
Yeah, he understood all the protocol.
Right. So I know I've gone quite way back, but I'm now going to rewind it to 90s first by saying avant-garde. There was a real, even though there was that depth and profundity and real gravitas, that connection, there was also an understanding. So I have always felt very embraced. So as I said, it wasn't the elite society. It wasn't a super society that was behind me. If anything, they were the ones with all the knives. Everybody was attacking me from all directions. They'd all come and see me and then just throw their knives at me. Like, well, okay. Excuse me, let me just clear my throat. Because, I don't want to mute it. I know what happened, but you need to mute it. You need to mute because I need to clear my throat. Can you hear us? Please say yes, because I think that this is what happened last time. Can somebody please, can you hear us? Oh my gosh. Did we mess this up again? I suppose we'll have to.
We'll find out. Maybe I can watch the live.
Yes, can you watch the live and tell me? Because I want to start. Can you hear us? Maybe I can write this. Can you? If they can, they're probably going, oh my God. Hear us? All right, send. Can you hear us? Like, hello, somebody, please tell us. Can you hear us? Yeah, you can. Go away now. No, come back. Hey, you can hear me.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Great. I think there's a bit of a delay.
Oh, look, I'm there.
Yeah, I think there's a bit of a delay.
Yeah, of course.
Oh, wow. Thank you. Okay, thank you, Mrs. Lamani. There's a delay. So maybe then there's a way to stop the swearing if it inadvertently slips out of my mouth. But anyway, you can leave that now, or we can do a duo thing another time. So anyway, thank you. We're back. Thank you. And I was talking about Fiji of those times. I mean, the shops we had, the style we had, the bookshops back in the 80s, uncensored. I bought that, which I'm going to share in these stories once once I share true focus stories about because I was very much a part of the media, fashion, and music industries, which were all combined back at those times. So, because I really want to talk about Sera Volavola, but I'm setting up something here for you, okay? I'm setting some backstory here for you about why I feel it's right. I feel like Sarah's mentor in some ways because of who she is, not because I hate this whole idea of molding someone in your way you want someone to be. No, I hate that. I like people for who they are. I find beauty in the person, not my idea of what is beautiful. Beauty to me is about who that person is. So anyway, Fiji back then, as I said, so this, and so then the young woman, I'm going to go back to 1989. And then I came out wearing, designers of the day, modern designers. It was George Evans and Tessa Miller. They had designed a palazzo pants, wide-legged pants, and little teeny tiny, it wasn't a top, it was just a shoulder covering because this was all open. And I'm like, oh my God. And Bernadette said, please, could you walk out like that to show this is modern Fiji and this is how we embrace all things? I'm like, oh my Lord. Okay. This is 1989, 2 years after the coup that was based on racial tensions. I am Indo-Fijian, all right? And I am being asked to do something, and it was all well received. It was a hit. it was published in the front page of the newspaper. I don't have that clipping. And the photograph is of me going, because I have to go out there to show, but it was still very daunting. Anyway, I'll tell the full story of it another time. And then I've done it again in the trade winds because I was always asked to by the designers wear the most revealing or something like that because I was also, my style on the runway is not sexual. It's not sexy. I'm not a sex kitten. Because when I do model workshops, etc., when I do direct a model in my photo shoot, the sexier the garment, the less sexy I don't want the model to be sexy. And so this is why, when it's not about being sexy. It's about showcasing something. It's about using your body as a blank canvas. And so my style wasn't to be sexy. I was more, don't touch me. But I'm really lovely, really, truly, I really am. I'm really sweet. But on the runway, I'm like, don't touch me, kind of thing, because I'm really shy off stage. Anyway, so that was it. And I've lost my place again, darling. And can we?
Fiji, 90s.
Progressive Fiji. Yeah. Anyway, so I've done again. So designers would always ask me to wear something. So I was sent out wearing, a pair of boxers, and this was one of the trade winds events, and just holding my arms like that, and it was just a natural thing because it was in context, it was showcasing that, and no one was scandalized. It was all very normal to see these things. It was just a modern representation. We were I did not ask to be splashed on the cover of all the newspapers wearing just a bikini with the headline, Fiji TV newsreader Sandhya Nand, it was like, oh my God, milk it, people, milk it. However, it was all a very lovely relationship we all had with each other. It sold their newspapers. They all supported us and showcased us. So Fiji at that time, and I think it was a real pushback against the coups because finally all that racial tension bubbled up. And here I am, the anomaly at that stage, that only Indo-Fijian that people thought that I was trying not to be, when I'm like, no, I'm very much who I am. I'm a product of Fiji, that beautiful microcosm of the world that is just this modern traditional and like, hello, ahead of the times, literally, international deadline. So this is what I was doing. I was setting up this story about how I am as a person and how I look, and I don't, when I style shoots, etc., I style it from Fiji of the 90s that I am not only a product of, but a part of, but also, and I'm going to quote these words, pioneer, because I feel I was embraced and was given the platforms quite freely to be able to communicate and express in such a way that people learned from it. I never talked down to anybody. Never did, never do, never will. And on radio, I would be playing, as I said, again, I have to talk about my radio days. I'd be playing heavy metal. Welcome to the Jungle was my theme song from brunch to lunch. And, the aunties didn't like me, but there were lots of young people who were like, this is cool. And they'd listen. And as I said about language, because one of the things that's happening to us right now on one of our other platforms, look, I will get back to what I was talking about, but on our YouTube channel, which is Stylander TV. So if you haven't subscribed, please do. Thank you very much for your support. There's a lot of people watching our rugby analysis of the Fiji versus Australia match because we are both rugby fans. We love it. And, it was just goosebumps. Yeah. And I feel that it's time now. I feel that Fiji is now stepping into itself. And
well, we were saying as well that they're given the opportunities to come onto these platforms, and now let's dominate.
Right. Because as I've said earlier, and I'm saying early on in the conversation, earlier on in my life, and this early on understanding I had about something, the more privileged you are, the more opportunities you get, the more success chances you get. It's really, really difficult. That's why we all love a rags to riches stories, but we don't unpack the privileges enough. Usually the rags to riches story is already like a privilege of some sort, like a white person, a Eurostream white person, or a good looking person. There's privileges galore. It's not just material. I have always been able to see all of mine, which I understood one thing. I love privilege, the idea of it. I hate it. I hate that it exists, the construct of it. But all that means is that everyone has the right to live a beautiful life. And equity is what the differences are. And that equity depends on how much accountability you are willing to take and be representative of the bigger community. Because not everybody wants to be famous. Not everybody wants to have mansions and stuff like that. Not everybody wants to lead. But everyone needs to lead a good life where the cost of living isn't the most bullshit term anyone has ever heard. Anyway, I have digressed yet again, but we will pull it back. So I'm going to talk about, and just finish about 90s, Fiji. So this is the Fiji. But something soured, something happened that I don't quite understand. Anyway. I'll talk about all that stuff in depth later. I do want to just set this up. So when I style these shoots, and I look for something in models that, I'm not sure exists today too much. People need to understand the art of modeling. They need to understand that as a model, you are a blank canvas and you use your incredible physicality to showcase a designer's vision, or whatever it is that you are wearing. And then, of course, you get to what is called supermodel status. I have the honor and embarrassment of being called that of Fiji, which, look, it's humbling. And I get it. And I think I'm worth that because I think that what such a honored title means is that you are recognized by people as being someone who, regardless of what is going on, like the age, etc., you still continue your passions, your art. You still commit to that. I mean, I have been out of the public eye for a long time, and that's fine. I'm still well known within my areas of expertise. I have some renown in Australia. I have renown in the world. I get asked by governments of other countries to come and photograph their country, to promote their country to other worlds. Oman, Nepal, I write for in-flight magazines and stuff. So people like that understand. So, so I've continued doing what I do because fame is not what I'm pursuing. People who do for merit don't pursue fame. And I'm going to tie this in with what I'm actually talking about with Sera Volavola. Yes, Mrs. Lamani has said something essential to what we were also saying previously. That, if you're watching this after the live, I'm reading comments that disappear after the live is posted. So Mrs. Lamani has said, I suppose the absence of social media enabled that progressive stance. Absolutely. But again, what was happening was that the privileged people were going and traveling. Fiji people have always been great travelers. So they were traveling and bringing back information. But also 80s Fiji was incredible without what the information we had at libraries and our bookshops. Desais. I mean, everything was amazing. As I said, I will talk about it in depth. I'll let you know where we're going to have these conversations, where I focus on one topic at a time. So you're not like, well, hey, finish this, please. So, but just one quick thing, like Desais, I bought, my friends and I, we were 13. We bought Madonna's Playboy because Playboy published photographs of when Madonna was in the 70s, just a struggling artist. Beautiful black and white shots, naked, sure, but they were beautiful. And Fiji understood that there was artistry in the human form. This was sold. And, there was nothing. Anyway, a different time. We must move with the times. We must live in the present day. But I have my experience and my skill set and my, knowledge, etc. from those times. And I have used that to continue creating and gaining experience and knowledge that now in my 50s, I really do know what I'm talking about. That is the beauty of being in your 50s and older. So young women, if you're watching, do not fear. There is so much to look forward to. There's so much to look forward to. But So, coming back now to Sera. Sera is a young woman I deeply admire. I first saw her in 2021 when she was a model on the virtual show that was the show for the main platform that is in Fiji that does fashion. And it was a virtual show because everybody was on lockdown. It was a most excellent show. I was very impressed what was able to be done. And everyone looked great. Everyone looked amazing. Designers looked like they tried a bit, etc. But I saw two young women there, and Sera Volavola was one of them, and Sharon Money was the other. And they continue to just surpass any, I didn't have expectations. I just thought, and I never go into Fiji thinking, I'm going to do or make sure, change everything for everybody. No, I'm just like, oh, look, I know what they're doing because everyone has access to the internet now. So I know what we could do back then without internet. So I know what people are doing now. And they're all, fashionable and stylish and blah, blah, blah. And, and young women are seeing what's happening on social media. So they're practicing and doing all that stuff. But a true model understands the art of it and understands that they're using themselves to create a story, not just making themselves the story. But you get to a status where you then become very much, but that's what they call supermodel status. So you're no longer the blank canvas. People know that they're going to say, okay, I'm going to say to myself, yeah, why not? That somebody is going to wear their garment. So that becomes the point of it. So it's very humbling. Many of the top designers there have given me that, and it's privileged and it's lovely. Anyway, so I saw Sera, and when Dwayne and I lived in Fiji in 2022, Sera was the first cover model of the Fiji Stylander, when the Stylander was Fiji Stylander. That's why we went to Fiji, to sort of start something, to be able to use our skills and give back and train. And we were promised some investment, and we promised this and promised that, and none of it came through. None of it. And we were funding all of this, and it was just quite, it was great. We were living in Fiji as husband and wife and husband, and, and creators together, and seeing what was happening. If you get really learning, it's very easy to say all these things when you're living offshore and being and being objective. You're not ever objective. No one's ever truly objective, because objectivity really does come from maybe the barest subjective, opinion, because is anyone ever truly objective? We're still delivering an opinion from our own perspective. Yes, I don't know. Anyway, I have digressed yet again. So where was I?
Sera.
So Sera.
Yes.
Thank you. Yes, she's the first cover model of the Fiji Stylander, as it was known then, because we were just testing the waters and getting all these, and we were getting some hope, igniting some hope is what we were doing. And we felt, but, it turned out to be a bigger journey than, I hate the word journey, but I'm going to use the word journey, and it would turn out to be a big picture thing. So Sera was such a pleasure to photograph. What an incredible young woman. Just independent, intelligent, reserved, humble, but understands understands how to use her physicality in good ways. She understands the art of modeling. I loved that. Directing her was such a pleasure. She didn't come to me with any ego. She understood that even down to earth, and why this is a really beautiful connection and wordplay is because Sera Volavola is Miss Earth Fiji 2023, which means she is going to represent Fiji on a global platform in Vietnam. Now, this is where I need to talk a little bit about pageants. Look, I'm not a fan of pageants. Okay, I have explained this. I hope that I was able to explain it a little bit in the previous one. But if you're new to this party, then let me just quickly say that all pageants are about beauty. It's always, regardless, because of the people, the women, the young women especially, who enter these pageants, right? They're extremely accomplished. high achieving because they're expected to be. It's not enough that they get good marks in school and are good people and are beautiful. No, they have to be exemplary in education. They've got to then have a degree, and the more the better. They've got to then do all sorts of volunteer and charity work. They've got to do just, give over their entire lives to proving their worth, because this is what women are, this is their demand on women. Prove your worth constantly. They've got to be impossibly, the Eurostream societal construct of beauty. And it's too polished for me. It's like, gosh, but, so it's got to be all of that. I weigh all that up and I look at these young women, because I do know young women who have entered these or have been a part of these pageants, and particularly the young women in Fiji who entered Miss World Fiji. And 3 of them I know quite well, 4 actually, and they're exemplary young women. They're absolutely stunning. And reserved and why I can't then completely hate these platforms, and I'll explain why I do. See, because those incredible things all these young women are, well, it's that or beauty. It's that or beauty. And it's beauty that wins the pageant. Regardless of what all of that is, it's the beauty that wins the pageant. It's a beauty pageant. All of these are beauty pageants. Beauty with a mission, beauty with a purpose. What the hell kind of bullshit is that? Why should beauty be something separate? Beauty is part of all of us. It's a biological thing and a societal construct. But biology says that all types of us exist. We are binary and non-binary, and we are everything within it, and the binary then gets like, okay, you guys go procreate. Maybe binary is not about the human vessel. Maybe binary is about some sort of energy, which is why same-sex couples then feel the need to have biological children. As we have already talked about in a very significant live, we all exist. We are all variations of one species. Anyway, gosh, I do, but we are talking about Miss Earth. And so, yeah, but Sarah, look, so these wonderful young women, right? They use these platforms in ways to spotlight the countries they represent. This is what these young women think they're doing. But they're being judged on their physicality. And it's really terrible. It's terrible because they feel like they're just from a small country, and how can they, against some of these pageant entrants have got entire entourages and lots of money, which, by the way, Sera Volavola doesn't. She's actually going to fund her own self. She's kind of being left in the lurch a little here. And this is why I am talking about this, because I need to talk about Sera Volavola and why I am actually, despite not really being a fan of pageants, I do understand, because I can no longer, and I haven't. This is what empathy is. You've got to look at something from the other person's point of view, not how you want them to see it from your point of view. So even though I don't like pageants, I understand why other people and young women in countries like Fiji who do not have the opportunities I do and did, why they look at it as like, well, maybe this is a platform that will help them elevate something and, most importantly, shine a spotlight on the country they love. Because this is what I want to talk about Sera Volavola, and this is what got lost, and because I forgot to unmute this last live. Sera Volavola is a world-class model. She's a global model. But when the model scouts went to Fiji, they weren't looking for someone representative of Fiji. They went looking for someone who could fit their narrative. And so the last time a model scout went into Fiji, they picked someone from Fiji, sure. And as an Indo-Fijian, I have to be really frank about the fact that I can't call myself Fijian, and that's fine. I'm a Fiji Islander. I have no, but this person who, unfortunately, I'm sorry, but she fits the Eurostream constructs. The color of hair, the color of skin, the color of eyes. And this person was chosen, and everyone's like, yay, she represents Fiji. I'm like, what? There were so many other young models, but they didn't do that. And what the sad thing was, this model who was chosen, okay, fact is she was chosen because she was actually the best she's a super model, super, like, not supermodel, sorry, as in really, camera loved her. She didn't want to model. So this opportunity that once in a lifetime opportunity, unfortunately, this young woman who was chosen to be this global model just wanted to go home to her village and have children and stuff. That's
cool.
That's cool. So, but now it's time, and this was years ago, but now it's time for true representation of places, not the rubbish representation like that is currently happening. The loudest people are the ones who are representing the communities that should be represented by people of excellence. It's the ones who are making noise and who've got the money to go get public relations to end up in social columns. That shit. Okay? And they're just an embarrassment. An embarrassment. They're not representing, who's representing Fiji in a good way right now, apart from our rugby team?
Yeah.
Wow. You see, because they went there to change their own mindset, as the captain, Wed Sep said, and please go listen to our rugby finalysis of the game on our YouTube channel, the Stylander TV. Now, Sera, I absolutely she's just a spectacular young woman. Very humble, very reserved, very understanding of her role in life. So I think she's a top model. I think she's a global model, and I think she needs now a stepping stone into a global spotlight so that people can look at her and go, okay, maybe she didn't win the pageant, but wow, she should be on runways in Europe. Why not that? So this is why I cannot negate what a platform like Miss World and Miss Earth Fiji, what that means to young women who look at the world and look at themselves and say, look, give me a chance. I can go there. Because I know that's what was, for me, I was given all the opportunities and chances, and that's why I seized them. And that's why I didn't spend my youth drunk and vomiting in a gutter. It may look like it because, I had to try and make people think that that's what was happening. Because people, for some strange reason, get very intimidated by people who aren't getting drunk with them, especially young people. I don't get it. I knew that I was in a position of being viewed as a role model. So I wasn't going to go and give that respect that I was given and held up as a celebrity. I wasn't going to go then disrespect these people by being seen vomiting in a gutter. No. Anyway, how did I get here? How's this about me? What the fuck? Sorry. Oops, sorry. Beep. 4-second delay. Oh my gosh, don't hear that right now. So I'm talking about Sera. I'm talking about what a spectacular human being she is, and I'm talking about pageants. And now I'm talking about why I will not discount what these platforms mean to these young women. I was given all the privilege in the world. And for those of you who know my story, yes, that didn't mean I didn't have also the most horrific trauma, but this is why I didn't let my trauma govern me, and I didn't lead with my trauma, because along with that trauma, I was also given an incredibly privileged life that got me opportunities that made me say, I am proud to represent the country of my birth, and proud of myself for who I have stayed true to the young woman I was 30 years ago, and then that the young woman I was made me the old woman I am now at 52 that resonates with young women like Sera, and who I don't care to be looked up to. I'm not here to get anyone's respect. I'm not here to mold Sera because she fits my idea of what a fantastic young person is. No, it's because Sera and we resonate on who we are as strong people at the core.
She's ready.
She's ready, is what I'm saying. Sera is ready to hit the global platform. Sera needs to be seen. And Sera has won this title. She's already on the Wikipedia page. Go to Miss Earth 2023. She's there. Sera Volavola is there. And yet she has no money to get there because no one's telling her what's happening. So they've done the pretty pictures. There's a video, there's pictures, and she looks spectacular. I'm looking at this like, this woman needs to be in New York. She needs to be in Delhi. She needs to be wherever all the big, in Copenhagen, wherever all the big names platforms are now, in Berlin, in Milan. What the hell? And she can't. So we need to get together, and I'm appealing to Fiji designers. Look at what this young woman does for your clothes on the runway. She's spectacular. Dress her. She needs gowns. She needs some casual wear. She needs money. She needs sponsorship. She needs people to look at her and go, wow, I want you to represent the country of Fiji, because she is not only Kaiviti, she is modern, and she is so respectful of where she came from, who she is, who she represents. She understands her role. She is ready. She just needs the chances. She's got 2 months. She reached out to me because she knows that she can, and she's starting to get worried, and she doesn't know what to do. She didn't really understand what pageantry was about. She wasn't going to enter the pageant until she read more about it, and she learned more about it, and realized she could use this platform for the greater good, for a bigger picture. I'm still not for pageants, but I gotta tell you, Sera Volavola is ready to win it all, because Sera, as I said in the previous episode that unfortunately got, muted, Sera is already a winner. Sarah's already been the independent. She's already got the top marks in school. She's already got the degree. She worked throughout her degree, and she modeled, and she showcased, she used her talents, and she's got a beautiful Instagram of just creative little things that she does. She understands the art of modeling. Photographing her was such a pleasure. She understood what I wanted. Go and see the Stylander. But as I said, let me just do a quick, anchor me, darling. I'm still talking about Sera here. This month on the Stylander, we dedicated the issue to, we've called Wanderer, which is a supplement dedicated to the Melanesian people of the Pacific Islands. I feel that Melanesia gets slept on, really. I guess, yes, seen as Fiji, of course, gets seen as the place where, Eurostream people can go and feel like they're royalty. Anyway, but Fiji is so much more than that. It's a tropopolitan society, and I have always showcased it that way. People have said to me, why do you bother? Because this is my way of giving back. Because of Fiji, for 10 years, I was embraced as this, out there. No one had any clue about what was driving me, my need to stay invisible, my trauma, my need to stay so private that I thought the best way for me to do it was to stay as visible as possible, but because also, hey, I was really good at what I did. So, damn the trauma, who cares? I'm trying not to swear, because usually I'd be like, beep, the trauma. But, so this is the Fiji I was allowed to unfurl. I sang jazz and I taught, rock and pop, and anyway. Oh my gosh, it's time for us to go. It's an hour. We're hungry. We want to go, but I want to finish this. I need to talk about Sera. And so this is how I feel like I'm coming full circle. I'm using all the skills that I, came into in Fiji, and I honed and refined, and over the years, just constantly not bothering to search for fame, but just doing my own, refining everything so that I can use my lighthouse now that I am. As an older woman, I am a lighthouse. So I can use my light to spotlight young women like Sera Volavola, who deserves to be seen on the world stage as a representative of Fiji, because she is everything you would want in your representation. She is humble, and she is beautiful. She has presence, and yet she is just, not at all arrogant. She is compassionate and kind and fun and sweet and delightful. Intelligent, and has focus, has vision, understands what she wants. It is a bit perhaps like, well, where is she going to get these opportunities? Well, there you go. She's got it. And there's still obstacles in her way. So I'm really asking you, if you are from Fiji, I think I'm going to cry right now. So I'm really sorry. I'm a bit emotional right now. Goodness me. This is silly. Oh, Sorry. But we just have to change our own mindset. That's what the captain of the Fiji team said. They went to, France with, not, just change your own mindset. So I'm really sorry. I'm such an emotional person, but I think that's one of my strengths, because I have said many a time that I'm very grateful and that I chose not to develop thick skin, because I didn't want thick skin. I didn't want to be cold. Cowards develop thick skin because they don't want to be hurt, so they become cold. And so therefore they stop feeling. I didn't want that. I wanted to continue feeling. I love life. I love feeling. So I decided to keep my emotions and develop a core of steel so I could still feel. But I am unbreakable.
People have tried.
People have tried physically. Anyway.
They failed.
So we really need to join forces in some way. Unless there's someone miraculously here who is a model scout in Australia or the US or England, then you can look at the potential of this young woman. Then sign her up, take her to the runway. She's ready. She wants to do it. For her family, for her people, for young women, for her country, for herself. Maybe you think that one might come a bit last for her. All people like that, it comes last. So I'm really sorry for this really melodramatic, menopausal old woman stuff. Oh, God. Crazy. But I am emotional about these things. It's not fair. And I am no longer in a financial position to help these gorgeous young women in Fiji achieve their dreams. I've changed my entire life, and we all have so much shame around these things, and I've gained so much wealth and truth and fact and richness. But I'm no longer in a position of material privilege. I have all the other privileges in the world. I have myself, my sanity, my clarity, my health. And I have my best friend who happens to be my husband.
Your skills.
Oh, yeah, that too. And my mind that I developed when I was a teenager and a young woman who was considered hot. And I thought, okay, well, I'll let that take care of itself. I'll just develop my mind. But people kept misunderstanding me in that one. So I don't know. I can't. So I'm just really asking, because I have a real problem asking for help for myself, but I'm asking for help in this instance. We need to help a remarkable young woman get a chance to show the world and herself and whatever what she can do. She knows what she's talking about too. She studied sciences in university, and she's, so let's get her there. There's so many of the young women who, gosh, and this is what we're doing with our platforms, with Stylander, etc. Excuse me. Wow. I'm still able to talk about what we're doing. All of this, we use the platforms we construct and create to showcase these exemplary people, so that people, because as I talk about many, many times, as I have said in many lives, I have always had one incredible privilege where I have never seen the walls. I have never seen the walls that the constructs want us all to see. They have brainwashed us all into thinking they are walls, when I do understand that they are door frames and they are doors. And so because of that, I then also go through the doors. But most of the time I'm like, guys, there's no walls. Don't let them fool you. So, well, that's privilege. Privilege allows you that. That's why those without those walls, those with the privilege, just hop, skip, and jump wherever they want. So yeah. Can we, I don't know. I can only hope that somebody somewhere is listening to this. I'm certainly going to try and do my best, what's the point of being well known? I found out the hard way that being well known and a celebrity and an icon and a supermodel and a pioneer, these are words that get, associated with me, mean nothing when you go to people and say, hey, we've got some great ideas and solutions to, what is happening, this great ennui and lack of hope and misery that is permeating Fiji, is stressing people and keeping people heavy. They've got some hope because there's so let's ride this momentum. Let's stoke this fire. But when I asked people and I said to them, listen, you can't have naming rights. This isn't about you. This is about them. And later we can say, look how successful this all is thanks to you. Everybody wants naming rights. Everybody wants to do a fashion parade. Here we are saying, we're offering you a chance to do something exemplary and continuous and global, and you want to do a little fashion parade. Everybody wants to do fashion parades. We have a fashion parade every week in Fiji. They charge $1,000 to go and see badly made nylon. What happened to our industry? I left it healthily and gave it over to these narcos who run it now and consider themselves elite. Fiji used to have a fashion industry that gave everybody a chance. Yes, it was run by the elite, but I put some things in play when I actually produced the first major collective show. And the way I put it, this isn't about me, and I will talk about all this shit later. Sorry, I'm getting a bit emotional. Fuck, I must be. Excuse me, oops, I swore. Hormonal. I'm menopausal, but, it's like these invisible periods. I think I am. I think it has been 12 months since I last. It's great. Yay, freedom. Freedom. So wow, this has been a real roller coaster of emotions. I am very, very sorry. Sera Volavola and Sharon Money. I want these young women to just be seen in the world. They're exemplary. They're my pick of the two best models in Fiji, certainly. Sharon's another story, but we will be focusing on them next month, because this month, as I had started out saying, is, as I was talking about Melanesia and all that, Papua New Guinea. We've dedicated it to the modern, traditional, and contemporary excellence of Papua New Guinea, which never gets seen. All we know about Papua New Guinea is what? What do you know? Free West Papua. Do you know why? Do you understand why Indonesia still thinks it's got a stronghold on Papua New Guinea? It's because Indonesia used to be Dutch. The Dutch used to own it, and they used to own that side of Papua New Guinea. The Dutch don't want Indonesia to own it, so now they're like, no, you can't own it, what they used to own before. So Indonesia wants it because Papua New Guinea is rich in everything. Rich in everything. It's biological and cultural diversity, and that's the next. We look to the Amazon, but they pilfered and plundered and destroyed the Amazon. Papua New Guinea somehow has been able to protect itself, but also, unfortunately, it's kept it hidden from the world. In the ways it should be shown. So when good night, Mrs. Lomani. Thank you very much for being here. So please, yes, everyone in Fiji, please, I will have information for you. I am going to be contacting media. This is what I'm saying. What's the point of being a celebrity and well known if I can't use my name to help people who need to be seen by the world? So this is what I'm doing. I'm throwing the full weight of my celebrity behind getting Sera Volavola to Miss Earth 2023. I am going to be left. Actually, no, I'm not going to be embarrassed if this doesn't happen. I'm not going to be the one embarrassed. If she doesn't get there in 2 months' time, I'm not going to be the one embarrassed, and now there's Sera. It's just like, how disappointing that she couldn't even get an airfare. And, she's won this title that in the world is considered something exclusive. And she is ripe and ready. And, well, I hate the word ripe. Sorry, apologies for that. I mean ready. Not ripe. Ew, that sounds gross. That sounds like something has come to a fruition and goes to no. I hate that ripe thing, because if you are good, you just get better. Anyway, so that's what we use the Stylander for. So right now it's for the month of September, because to coincide with Papua New Guinea's Independence Day, it's all about contemporary art, design, fashion, music and I was honored enough to be asked to host a panel for the Contemporary PNG Night at the museum to coincide with the exhibition that is being held at the Australian Museum, which is which is more about the not the contemporary, so the traditional, the same old visual of Papua New Guinea. But you should understand that Papua New Guinea is also globally ready with their design, their art, their music. It's all there on the Stylander. Please go have a look. All throughout September, we'll have more information for you, more great stories to read, and artists and designers to discover. I have been photographing them for a long, long time. Our personal history with Papua New Guinea is there too. It's all there. And we have a live up on our YouTube channel. Now, in October, to coincide with Independence Day for Fiji, October is dedicated to Fiji. And so we'll have everything you need to know about Sera and everything about Sharon and everything about Fiji's contemporary side. We'll be there. I don't know. It's not there. I don't think Fiji needs our help. That's not why we're doing it. Fiji fashion industry. Well, they, I don't know. I don't know what they're doing. They're all against each other, and, you know, good for them. You go do your own thing. This is not about that. I support whatever. This is about getting the right people onto these platforms to be seen. So let's hope we can do this, because I'm not going to be the one embarrassed about it. I'm going to utilize everything that I supposedly have at my disposal, contacts. Well, this will be embarrassing. Let's see who comes through. All these elite people of civil society that I know. Let's see. All these moneyed people. I know everyone's struggling, but surely, 5,000 Fijian can't be out of reach to give to this young woman. Design clothing, jewelry. Surely a woman who has independently gone through university. I think she won a scholarship as well, representing her mother. I'm pretty sure I have got footage, etc. Not footage, clippings of Sera as a young girl. She deserves chances that only the privileged people get. So her only privileges have been her mind and her physicality, and she uses them with respect. So that's all. That's it. We've got to eat. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. If you're watching after the live, please, if you know people who can help, who is reading. Yeah, thank you. Aradhana is here. Aradhana, I hope you don't mind me calling you by your name, because I love that name. Dakini _SB is the Instagram handle for Aradhana. And I heard the same about Fiji fashion industry. It's a shame. Hope they step up and make it right. I don't know. There's far. See, the one thing about Fiji, we're not wallflowers. It's big personality country. People from Fiji have got big personalities, regardless of racial grouping. And unfortunately, egos can sometimes just take over a little, and it's unfortunate, because there is so much creativity and artistic expression in Fiji. And of course, I certainly was very lucky to see the best of it in the 80s and 90s. And there have been absolutely, throughout the years. I am certainly not saying there hasn't been, but it's, look, same old. Come on now. I mean, because we are showcasing on Stylander what isn't the same old. Go and see amazing stuff being, let's go expand. This is why we have this publication, to elevate and expand. And I was saying that that's how it was for me when I was on radio, and that's how it was for me when I was on television. And people say about my accent now, but my accent was not. I think now living away from Fiji has made this way. And of course, I must explain that I was brought up in England, and then of course in colonial India and in colonial Fiji, because back then in school, this is how people talked. And on air, on like the radio stations, FBC and FM 96, this is really how people talked. Yeah, differently. But, the Fiji accent is different now, and that's moving with the times. The Australian accent's different now, so we all move with the times. So, anyway, that's it. So I'm going to utilize my contacts, etc., etc. So if you know how to help, please help. If you know how, let's do this. Can we do this? I'm sure we can. Thank you for being here. Yes, we can. Yes, we can. See you tomorrow morning. Don't know what time, because this is the lives of our days. It's unscripted, unscheduled, unedited, and unadulterated, but never unhinged. That's us. Good night.